Goeiemorgen, good morning, and away.
Moeder.
And to the Kiwis out there, kia ora. So this morning's all about your first year in New Zealand. You've just arrived down here in the land of the long white cloud, and you got to make up your mind on a lot of things because there's a lot of new things around you. So surviving your first year, I think stepping off the airplane is a buzz because this is something you would have hoped for, longed for, or wished for a long period. How did you feel that morning that we stepped off the airport?
Very tired.
I know. I was thinking, if I'm going to ask you this question, you're going to say very tired.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one thing that hits you. Like, it's crazy because you've been flying for what, 25 hours or something like that? 30 hours. You go the long route, 40 hours, 45 hours.
What was really strange for me is, the day that you fly, saying goodbye to everyone on the airport, and even before that,
that's tiring.
It's really tiring, and it's really emotional. And when you get on the plane, you really feel, you feel kind of
drained.
Yes,
I just slept right through. So.
But it's funny, as soon as you're on that plane, it's like, okay, there's a new adventure waiting, and you kind of forget of what just happened back home. And yes, then you're all in for it.
And you try to take everything in. If you step off the plane, you're in a different country, and a lot of people has never gone to a different country, even for a holiday. So this is overwhelming big. If that's the right word, it's way too big for them to understand this in one go.
Luckily, Auckland doesn't have a very big
No, you don't
airport,
get lost
so
easily.
It's not like you can get lost or anything. It's a very easy airport to understand where to exit and all that.
And once you're off the plane, the adventure starts.
Yes, we were very excited. All of a sudden, you're tired, but you're very excited.
Yeah, and you got to watch out. There's so many stuff you need to do that needs to get done. I'm not going to go in all the stuff, but it's
we did that a few weeks ago.
But it's all part of. I'm in a new country. It's all around me. But I need to get a bank. I need to get a car. I need to get and you need to get all of these in a very short succession of time. You don't have 3 months or 4 months to get a bank card and stuff like that.
But I think we're talking more on the emotional side.
Yeah, I want to go back to that emotional side. So that all adds up to this, I would say, emotional anxiety.
It is quite.
Yeah. And because you now got to get to the bank, you think it's going to work the same as the country you come from, and it's not like that. You run into a different set of rules. You got to find a car. You don't know how to register the car. It's all these.
Luckily, again, everything in New Zealand is very easy.
And if you ask somebody, they will help you. But it's for you to get over this. It's just to get all of that.
You will set yourself up for something to be very difficult, and in the end, it's really not that difficult. To register a car is they do it for you, so it's really nothing you have to do. It's only to understand how the system works. For you have to make an appointment at the bank to open a bank account. You can't just go in and open a bank account, and it's just the way that stuff works that's a little bit different. But once you're in that, it's really actually very easy, and it won't take you forever to set up everything. So then you can start concentrating on yourself.
Can I give a tip here?
Yes.
Okay. This hit me like crazy. Change your phone to the New Zealand time zone. I know the phones do it automatically, but all the other stuff like because your phone will be set up for South Africa if you come from South Africa, or the UK if you come from there. Set up all the other stuff like your calendar and those type of things were still operating in South African time when I arrived here.
Okay.
So you had to change it on the phone somewhere as a setting. I know I struggled. I Googled a lot, and then I found out why nothing was working that the way they thought. So I had to do that. I had to do that on the laptops as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I think one thing that was kind of strange for us is the switching time zones in the middle of the year. You're not used to that in South Africa, so we were looking forward to this daylight savings and whatever.
You didn't know what daylight savings was.
Yes, and it is actually the first year it felt like I had jet lag all over again.
The jet lag is
just
actually
that 1 hour, but it makes a huge difference to your inner clock.
It is.
So you have to be
And jet
prepared
lag
for that.
really hits you hard once you are here. You probably are down for about 3 weeks. I had to be operational within the first 2 days, and I know at 3 o'clock in the afternoon I was pulling amps like crazy. So
I think if you can give yourself at least 2 weeks before you get into working,
if possible.
I know some people arrive and they start to work again. So yes, just try to give yourself some time before you have to get working and all that.
Matthew Muscat just saying on the other channel, you need to be mentally prepared. I went through depression after 4 years. It came right. Mess, talking, socialize, it all helps. But hang in there and remember why you're doing it. That's a big thing. Why are you doing this big move?
I think on the emotional side, you cannot prepare yourself for what an huge emotional strain immigration will take on you. You can be prepared.
You've got it right there. There's no way. There's no way to prepare yourself for that.
No. And I mean, we are both positive people. We're not negative people.
Most of the time.
Yes, most of the time. But some days it really just gets to you. So I think just don't give yourself enough time to sit and ponder.
And then I would say your first 3 months is like a honeymoon phase.
Yes, but still, I think the first 3 months, it still feels like you're on holiday in a different country. Yeah. So it is actually really nice. And then after the first 3 months, I kind of started to feel like I'm out of place. It's like, okay, you're here, but
why are you here?
No one really knows you. You don't really know anyone. You don't actually know anything about the stuff that they use here and the food that they use. So it's not that adventurous anymore. You have to kind of now start to think, this is how I'm going to live. So I remember I used to walk into the shops and I was thinking, all these people belong here, but it felt like I really didn't belong there. And it felt to me like everyone in the shop could see that lady just came from South Africa.
They probably could.
I don't know. It just felt like that way to me. I was shopping and everything like everyone else, but I still felt like, I don't know. I just felt out of sorts. And that takes a while to, I think it takes, for that to change, I think it took me about 2 years. I settled in quite easily, but for me to feel like, okay, this is really it. I feel at home. I can go shopping. No one looks funny at me. That took me about 2 years to get to that point.
And I could see the point where you've reached that point. It was clearly visible from my side. I could really see today. Well, I won't say a specific date, but I could see from here onwards, this was your home.
Yes.
In the past, it looked like you were a visitor here.
Yes.
And probably you felt like a visitor here. So
I never felt like I wanted to go back to South Africa, never ever. But you didn't feel quite at home yet, if I could say it like that. I think what helped me, I know a lot of people say don't go back to South Africa in the first 2 years, because if you are homesick, it will be very easy for you to just stay in South Africa when you go back then. I didn't feel homesick. I just didn't feel like I belonged. So I was kind of in limbo, if I can explain it like that. And when I went back after a year to South Africa. And when I was there, I think I was there for a week. And then I started to think.
And I got the call.
I don't want to be here anymore. Yes.
That was a very good day for me, really.
Yes.
And I think most people who go back within the first 2 years have just given up. It takes a heck of a lot of adapting within yourself.
Yes.
Not in the country. The country aren't going to adapt because you are the new arrival. It takes a heck of a lot of adapting in yourself.
And you have to get out of the box every single day of your life. And that is not easy for me. I don't like change.
I fully understand it, but that is something you cope so well with.
Yep. You have to do it. Otherwise, you're really just going to get stuck.
Fall off the bus.
Yeah.
So
yes. And then I know what a lot of ladies that I talk to really struggle with is they feel so guilty for leaving their people behind in South Africa and going on with their lives. And I get it. I also feel guilty for leaving my kids and my grandchildren. I'm not part of their lives every day. You feel guilty when you hear that they're struggling financially and emotionally, and when you hear that your mom is sick and she's struggling and she doesn't have anyone. It's really hard, but you must remember why you made the move. Just always have that in the back of your mind, otherwise it's going to drive you crazy.
And we're going back in September. It's been nearly 5 years since I've been in South Africa. And I'm glad I didn't go back earlier.
Do you think you wouldn't have wanted to stay there then, would you?
No, I doubt if my thing is, I never wanted to go back. I never ever actually wanted to go back to South Africa.
You don't want to be there, but you don't really know if this is where you want to be.
No, I know I want to be here.
Now, yes.
I love New Zealand.
Yes, me too.
There's so much in New Zealand that I could never have done in South Africa. And I'm not talking bad about South Africa. There's so much more opportunity for me as a person here. And I think my personal development to become a better person has just grown exponentially.
You learn a lot about yourself. You actually learn how strong you actually are without you even knowing that you are. And I see that the women really sorry, I just want to open the door for the cats.
You've got a cat knocking on the door. Pretty stupid thing.
So the women is like they're really getting out there. They if they don't get a job here, they start to do something on their own. They start to clean houses. They work in gardens.
We've grown up with this thing. Let me go back a few years. I was born in 1970, so that people can get the perspective here now. We grew up when we were told about the Afrikaner woman that went barefoot over the Drakensberg and stuff like. You remember the Ossewagen stuff? Yeah. And I think that persistency or that strength in women is shining through in New Zealand.
Women are strong. I always say to them, you think you're not strong. And you get your days, believe me.
I see more guys sitting at home and being
depressed.
Or happy with the fact that they are home than women sitting at home. Women in this country will go out and do stuff they've never done before.
Go-getters, really go-getters.
So I'm taking my invisible hat off this morning to all South African women who made a hell of a success of life in New Zealand. You guys rock. I'll be quite frank about that.
You become really strong emotionally and mentally. You get really strong. I know, yes, I also struggled with anxiety. But there is help. You don't have to struggle. You can get help.
I can say something about my own wife. I'm allowed to say that. You're much better here in New Zealand than in South Africa. I'm being quite frank about that. So there's not a lot of external things that adds to anxiety as well.
I'm really mentally in a better place than I was in South Africa. What else?
Let's talk about month 6 to month 9 about. So you settled in, you've got all the needed things, paperwork is done, you got the cars, you got everything else, the kids are in school, which we didn't have.
We didn't have
so I can't compare myself with other people regarding kids and stuff. Now you settle in a daily routine. And this is one thing where I say a lot to my clients, get out.
Yes,
get out. You are in a new country, don't sit at home.
I know of people that's been here I know of people that's already went back to South Africa that never ever left the town that they moved into from South Africa. You're not gonna get familiar with your environment if you don't get out. See the place, and that way you meet other people.
And start doing things that the Kiwis do. There's a reason why they do this. Go for walks. If you're not a very strong walker, go for short walks. But just go for a bit of a walk. So, go for.
No, it's not.
No, I saw that. Go for a short walk and just start seeing how they are doing this stuff. Go for a walk on the beach. You can do that here.
And the thing is, you have to start to love New Zealand. And how are you going to do that if you don't see how beautiful this country is?
I understand petrol is expensive. I do understand that. I'm the very first guy to say that petrol is expensive in New Zealand. But take your lunch that you would have had tonight. Pack your lunch. Don't go and buy takeaways.
What we
Drive-
did
yeah.
is we decided on if it's a Saturday, if you work during the week, the first 6 months for us in New Zealand was very tough. Jan was trying to start and build.
Trying to learn the Kiwi culture.
It was business-wise,
Building
it was
a new
really
business.
bad. We were like rock bottom in
Jeez.
the first 6 months. But we did on a Friday or so, we'll decide, okay, I'll just make some wraps. And we put it in the car with a flask of coffee and we hit the road. And then you just have your coffee and your wraps somewhere next to a stream or whatever, somewhere beautiful. And yes, it really helped. When you get home again, you kind of have the strength to just struggle on.
And
the
everywhere
next day.
there is nice places to go and sit, to go, and nobody's going to disturb you there or chase you away.
No.
There's areas, if you are a bit of a walker, there's really what they call tramping. I think tramping in New Zealand, that's where you can walk for quite a far area.
Some people, you can park your camper van or your car, whatever, anywhere next to the road. And you can sit there. I saw some people just next to the road somewhere. They put out their chairs and their table and they have like a lovely lunch there. No one's going to bother you.
No one's going to bother them. No.
You can do whatever you want. So the possibilities and the opportunities are there. You just have to get yourself to do it.
I've said this in the past. If you are lonely in New Zealand, it's your own fault.
Yes.
I'm sorry about this, but this is your own fault.
Yeah.
If nobody reaches out to you, you got to reach out to them.
Yeah, and you will hit some walls. You may reach out to someone and never get anything in return. Yes, it happens. And that also takes a while. It took me 3 years before I found...
I can promise you, she reaches out to people all over both islands. Yeah.
But it took me really long before I found the people that I felt they are my hartsmense.
Yeah.
It took me 3 years. You get to know people, and I know a lot of wonderful people. And then again, you get some, you lose some.
You get wonderful people, but you don't always gel with them. It's just...
I think just don't get dismayed when you think you found your tribe and it ends up not being what you thought it would be. So, don't get stuck there. Just, get yourself together and
get going.
Reach out again.
Keep on.
It is hard. I know it's really hard. I think you have to kind of try and get yourself some goals. Just say, okay, in this month, I'm going to try and reach out to one person or whatever. If you see there's new people arriving in your town, those ladies feel exactly the same as you do. Reach out and just invite them for a coffee. You may find
but do it with no expectations.
Yes,
then there's no expectations.
Just go.
Just do for a coffee.
It will be good for you and it's good for them. What I found really helped me is to try and be the support for people that come in that doesn't have any support. That's saying that giving actually gives you more than receiving. That's true.
It is.
When you give your time and you give your support in return, you get a lot more back. So that really helps.
The old thing is, as they say, I don't know, in Afrikaans they say the wheel turns. Is that the right one?
Yes, you have to give yourself time.
When you arrive here, you're at the bottom. I promise you, you're at the bottom. You most probably at rock bottom even. So if you know nobody, if you don't know anybody, but reach out. You got to reach out. So
and again, that first year is really difficult because that is the year that you're trying to settle in. You are trying to find yourself and your space in a new country that you actually know nothing about. When you are coming here, it seems like it's kind of the same as South Africa. It's not. Everything is different. You may think it is the same, but it's not.
Not even the English is the same. So
No. Yes, they speak English. Yes, they drive on the left
Left
side
side
of
of
the road. A lot of that stuff is, but the culture is totally different. The
Yeah.
system works differently. The weather is different. The time works different. Everything is different. So you have to get your mind at the right place.
yeah, around it. And the one thing, the one thing about the system really works here, and that sometimes leads to frustration as well, because you're coming from South Africa, you think, oh, it's going to take 6 months, and no, it's done. I mean, it just it's just to adapt to that, and you got to adapt. Please note, you cannot make New Zealand adapt to you.
No.
Otherwise, you're going to be back on the next boat.
And try not to moan. I hear so many people that's just moaning all the time. I know some things are frustrating, but remember, you are in a different country now, and you have to adapt to the way that they do things here. So if you are going to moan about it all the time, you're really going to frustrate yourself, and you're going to be, I don't know, you just can't live like that.
Yeah.
Just go with the flow and just embrace what's coming your way. Yeah, if that is one thing I can say, just try to adapt.
I just want to do quick questions. Somebody just saying petrol is just as expensive as Africa these days.
Yes.
And somebody else was asking, did you guys use an agency to assist you with everything? We used an immigration lawyer.
Yes, we did.
We did. Great guy. I don't know if he still practices, but
yes.
Great guy.
Yeah, if it wasn't for him, we probably wouldn't have been here today, because we had a lot of health issues and stuff. So yes.
This is quite a long one, but I'm going to read a few of them. Wise advice. Thanks for sharing, guys. Say goodbye to the old normal and start creating a new normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially a new normal. That's sometimes difficult for people to adapt, and sometimes difficult for people who was used to, or so used to, only being the center of their universe back in South Africa. They sometimes think they are going to be the center of the universe once they walk in here, and it's not happening that way.
Someone is asking what the average age of South Africans in Tauranga is, and what is the best way to make friends. It is not easy to make friends because you have to reach out. And what I found is, I don't know why South Africans are that way, but people will organize something for South Africans to try and get them together. And there's maybe 3 or 4 families that pitch. So the opportunities are there to make friends. You just have to accept the opportunities and just go there. And then, of course, if you belong to a church, that is a really good way of making friends. We made quite a few lovely friends like that. And the other thing is, if you reach out, even on Facebook, to new people that's coming in, or sometimes people say, we're new, is there anyone that'd like to meet up? Reach out to those people. That's the only way that you're going to make friends. And if that couple doesn't suit you, then you try again. What we did in the beginning is we would invite a few couples, people that we don't really know very well, let's say 4 or 5 couples with their kids or whatever. We'll invite them for a barbecue or a braai, and see how I adapted. It's barbecue now. We'll invite them for
it's a braai.
For dinner, and then in a very casual environment, you will meet people and you will kind of see, okay, we match, or those two, and in the end you'll see those two, they make another dinner date, and those two get together. And so that's a really good way. Just invite people that you don't know. If you are like me and you are scared that maybe you won't get along and we just the 2 couples, invite a few couples. So then you don't have to do all the talking. You can also just mingle and figure out who your people are.
Can you read that?
Oh, thank you. It's my hairdresser. Thank you.
What we did in the beginning, we're still doing that now. So in the beginning we did a Prawn Bride, the first one.
Yes,
and
on the beach.
On the beach. It didn't cost us anything. We had a everybody brought their own brides, and
Yeah.
if people didn't have a
And
bride,
I
just
think that
pushed up.
was where I saw what I just said.
Hmm.
We didn't invite anyone. We just said we're gonna have a prawn bride on the beach in Papamoa, and at that stage there were all the people that came were actually new
Yeah,
people
all the
to
people
New
are new
Zealand.
people.
Yeah. We were about 10 or 15 couples
Hmm.
there, and
I keep track with about 90% of those people
and
still.
what is so lovely is at that specific on that day at that prawn bride, so many of those people made friends that they are still friends with.
Oh, yeah.
So that
I
just
met my
shows
hairdresser
you.
there, and
But not just that, I see how these people still spend time
no, it's
together
good.
on Facebook.
And I mean, it all
It's
came
really
from
so
us being. You
nice.
can be that person if you arrive.
Yeah.
You can be that person. Reach out.
And
do
if you
right.
see someone is doing something, go. Don't
what we
be
did-
scared. Don't be afraid.
Now, this last year we went camping, and presumably this year we can camping over Christmas as well. But the prior Christmases, we said everybody who's lonely in Tauranga, come. And we had a bride somewhere, and at one stage it was about 100 people or more pitched. It was just crazy. It was absolutely wonderful day. So yeah, you can be that person in your little town, your little community, because there's South Africans everywhere. I promise you, there's South Africans everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Yes. No. So I think if you put yourself out there with the right mindset, don't go in and think, okay, this is going to be my new best friend. Go in, like Jan said, with no expectations. And you will find your people. You have to just be patient with yourself. Like I said, it took me almost 3 years before I really felt this is the right.
It's tough just to open up to a stranger. So don't
It is
open
tough.
up. Keep them at a respectful distance and see who gels with you, don't gels with you. And if 6 months down the line that doesn't work, go on. But keep then, reaching out.
If you are really struggling, and I know it happens to especially the ladies. I know I always talk about the ladies, but I suppose that men goes through exactly the same. If we're feeling really depressed, don't dwell on it. If you want to journal, that can make a difference. Just do something, or get yourself a new hobby. I started crocheting. I've never crocheted in my life. I just Googled how to do it and I started crocheting.
We bought wool all over the bloody place.
And it really helped me for that first 6 months, I think. I would sit and do that, and I made the most wonderful things. Yes, just get yourself something.
You didn't make money, I promise you.
No,
didn't make money.
I just did it.
It was actually a big loss.
I think I spent more than
it was a drain on our finances, but
it helped me mentally.
Brought her through,
yes.
brought her to where she is today. So, yeah. All right, our time is nearly come and gone. That's one or two small things. We are moving. JV Financial Services is moving into their own building. We're forming part of a rental group with international needs, and we're moving to Tauranga to Judea. So that was supposed to happen on the 1st already, but a few hiccups with the landlord and the carpets not being washed and so forth and so forth. But that's growing pains.
And I mean, that's been 4.5 years. So give yourself time. It will happen.
It will happen.
The same with buying a house. People feel really depressed thinking that they will never be able to do it. You will. Give yourself time and just budget. Yeah.
And guys, get out. You need to get out. Don't sit at home. I know it's crappy weather now, but even just taking a short drive, go for a walk, open up your horizons. You are here to make a success of this.
Fresh air is the best medicine. I can tell you that. Whenever I feel depressed or anxious or whatever, go outside, have a few hours outside, and you'll feel better.
I actually need somebody to do a bit of gardening for me. That's good fresh air.
My word.
All right, on that note, let's say goodbye. Goodbye, everybody. Do good.
Bye-bye. See you next week.
See you next week. Okay. Oh, yeah, next week.
Oh, yes,
we've got someone on the studio that you do not want to miss. All about houses and rentals in New Zealand. Okay. See you all. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.